الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الغر الميامين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد، يقول الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا كفيناك المستهزئين. The first of our salawat in honor of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The second in honor of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. The third with your loudest voices in honor of Imam Sahaba al-Asr wal-Zaman. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Al-Miqdad occupies a prominent position in both Arabian and in Islamic history, as being one of the greatest companions not only of our Holy Prophet, but also of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi. He is seen as being one of the most beloved of companions, a man who displayed great valor, great passion, great commitment for the religion of Islam throughout his life, and is therefore a man from whose life many lessons may be learnt, and indeed many examples may be derived. A man whose leadership skills can be taken on board throughout our life. And indeed you find in many narrations his name is often mentioned alongside the name of Salman, Abu Dhar and Ammar. You find the famous narration which states from the Holy Prophet, Allah has ordered me to love four. He has ordered me to love Abu Dhar and Salman and Ammar and Miqdad. Yet many people ask the question that why is it that Miqdad deserves that love? And the idea that many know the story of Ammar, many know the story of Abu Dhar, many know the story of Salman, yet many unfortunately do not know anything about the life of Miqdad. As then if you go to many of the followers of Ahlul Bayt today and say to them, what influence did Miqdad have in the early years of the religion of Islam? Many will come forward and say, to tell you the truth, I do not know. I've heard many lectures where Miqdad's name is mentioned, but I do not know why exactly he deserves that praise. And indeed you find that it is vital that we study his biography, especially on a night like this, because the night of the 17th of Ramadan is the night when Islam achieved its first victory in the Battle of Badr. Many times people say that in the holy month of Ramadan, what were the greatest occasions in this month? You find in this month, for example, the wafat of Sayyidah Khadija is an occasion. You find, for example, the wilada of our second Imam is an occasion. You find in a couple of nights the Shahada of the Imam is an occasion. You find Laylatul Qadr is seen as an occasion. But one particular occasion that deserves reverence in this holy month is the Battle of Badr. For it was the battle that brought pride to the religion of Islam in its earliest days, in its youth. Al-Miqdad had a major role to play in that battle, as well as a major role to play not only in the life of the Prophet, but in the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And that role we need to examine, because on many occasions we are accused of being a school which does not respect the Sahaba of Rasulullah. On many occasions we are told that we have too much love for the family and no love for the companions, and that other schools in Islam have achieved a balance between the family and the companions. Whereas what do you find? You find that on the contrary, the school of Ahlul Bayt reveres many of the companions of the Holy Prophet. But the school of Ahlul Bayt states that each and every one of them has to be judged according to the Quran. As in, just because you were good on one occasion doesn't mean you remain good all your life. Nor if you were bad on one occasion, doesn't mean you couldn't change and become good. Every human being has to be judged for their merits. Miqdad, unfortunately, has been undervalued in our school by many of our people. That many of our people, instead of going out to research his life, you find many from the followers of Ahlul Bayt who unfortunately do not know nothing about his life. And that's why tonight I'd like to examine his biography in depth. As in a few nights I will also examine Ammar's biography, Salman's biography, and Abu Dharr's biography. We'll begin with Al-Miqdad and see what lessons we can draw from his life. Al-Miqdad was born in the year 586, which means he was 16 years younger than the Prophet. When you read the books of history, you find his name is given in two ways. In some books, he is called Miqdad ibn Amr al-Bahra'i. In other books, he is called Miqdad ibn al-Aswad ibn Abd Yaghuth al-Zuhri. The reason this is will be explained now. His original father was Amr al-Bahra'i. Amr al-Bahra'i used to own vast amounts of land in Egypt, in Sudan, in Ethiopia, and he used to reside near Mecca. This Amr al-Bahra'i, Miqdad's father, was known to have a short fuse, what we would call a short temper. If you get on his nerves, he says the only way to get back at you is to kill you, nothing else. And that's why you find in the Quran there are two very important words, Arab and A'rab. Arab means you're an Arabian. A'rab means you're a person who is a Bedouin with no law. Many of these Arabs were also A'rab, meaning what? Meaning there were many Bedouins without a legal system. If you touch me, I kill you. You get on my nerves, I kill you. You kill my son, I kill your tribe. Legal system wasn't established. That's why when someone comes and tells you, your prophet, what did he change in this world? You reply by saying, our prophet brought about a legal system. A legal system which sought to protect the property, the honor, the intellect, the life and the religion of a human being. Al-Miqdad's father, Amr al-Bahra'i, someone one day got on his nerves. What did he do to him? He killed him. Because he killed him, he was exiled from Mecca and he was forced to go where? He was forced to go towards Yemen. When he went towards Yemen, in the land of Yemen, he got married. When he got married in the land of Yemen, what happened? When he got married in the land of Yemen, he married Miqdad's mother. From there, Miqdad was born. And it's no irony that Miqdad came out like his father and his mother's side, because his mother's side were also what we call today gangsters, or what we call people of a ghetto nature. People who you don't really mess about with. You mess about with us, we'll kill you. And even Miqdad used to say, when I was younger, my uncles would place me near a tree, and each one of them with their bow and arrow would try and shoot an arrow that would just miss my eye. As in not a game you'd want to practice every day in your life with your nephews or with your children. But he used to stand there and they'd shoot their arrows and they'd promise him, the arrow will come so close to your eye but will miss you. This Miqdad, when he was brought up in this way, what happened? The narration states when he was brought up in this way, Miqdad, what happened to him? Even he developed this idea where he would come and he'd have a short fuse or a short temper. One day there was a person by the name of Shimr bin Hijr al-Kindi. This Shimr bin Hijr al-Kindi, when he got on the nerves of Miqdad, Miqdad stabbed him. When Miqdad stabbed him, the news reached Miqdad's mother's tribe. And Shimr bin Hijr al-Kindi, what did he do? He said, because you've stabbed me, it's not an eye for an eye, it's an eye for 10 eyes. Meaning what? Meaning you've stabbed me, we have to stab 10 of your people. Miqdad's mother's tribe came forward and said, listen, this is my son. I'm from a renowned tribe in Yemen. Leave him alone. They said, there's no such thing as leave him alone. We don't have a legal system here. Our system, you touch us, we touch 10 of you. She said to her son, very well, Miqdad, you have to leave the land, go towards Mecca. He said, what will I do in Mecca? She said, in Mecca, go there and align yourself towards the tribe, and hopefully that tribe will help you. Miqdad went all the way towards Mecca. He aligned himself with Bani Zuhra. The head of Bani Zuhra was a man by the name of Al-Aswad. Hence, in some books of hadith, you hear Miqdad ibn al-Aswad. His father's original name is what? Amr al-Bahra'i. But in Arabia, if you are adopted by a tribe, the head of the tribe, you take the name. Many of you will have heard of Zayd, the adopted son of Rasulullah. He used to be called Zayd ibn Harith. Then he was called Zayd ibn Muhammad. Then again, when his father came back and the verse said, call your sons by their father's real names, his son became Zayd ibn Harith again. Notice Miqdad, when he joined this tribe, Bani Zuhra, Al-Aswad ibn Abd Yaghuth al-Zuhri was the head of the tribe. Al-Aswad, what did he do? Al-Aswad came forward and he was known as one of the arch enemies of Rasulullah. That's why the verse I quoted at the beginning of my lecture, the verse I quoted, what does it say? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Surah 15, verse 95. Inna kafaynaka al-mustahzi'in. Enough for you are those who make fun of your message. Do you know who this was revealed about? It was revealed about Miqdad's adopted father, Al-Aswad. And it was revealed about 4 other personalities. Let's look at them. The first of them, it was revealed about Al-Mustahzi'in, those who used to make fun of Rasulullah, was a man by the name of Walid ibn al-Mughira. You've heard of Khalid ibn al-Walid? Khalid's father, Walid ibn al-Mughira, used to constantly make fun of Rasulullah. And this Walid ibn al-Mughira, when he'd see Rasulullah in his prayers, he'd bring the feces of an animal and he'd throw the feces on the Holy Prophet. You'd find that he'd be amongst those who would torture the early Muslims. This Walid ibn al-Mughira, he was so arrogant that the narrations tell us he was inflamed when he heard the Arabic of the Quran. Why? Because he knew that the Arabic of the Quran was more powerful than his Arabic, and it meant that his prestige would be lost. So what would he do? Instead of becoming a Muslim, he'd begin to make fun of the Holy Prophet. This Walid ibn al-Mughira died a death which highlights that however arrogant you are in this earth, there is only one mutakabbir, and that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As in, the only one who deserves to be called the All High, and all pride belongs to him, is Allah. Walid ibn al-Mughira one day is coming back home from his work. When he's coming back home, there's a blacksmith. You know, the blacksmith is working. One of the splinters of the blacksmith comes into the ankle of al-Walid. When it comes in the ankle, al-Walid's thinking to himself, I want to take it down, but there were some Arabs who are watching me and I have never lowered my back that much. The Arabs, when they were listening about the religion of Islam, the Holy Prophet, he said to them, become Muslims. They said, what do we have to do? He said, you have to be good to your neighbors, you have to be good to the poor, good to the orphans, and you have to do prayers. What does that involve? Sujood. What's sujood? Sujood is that you put your head on the ground. They said, so our backside is going to be higher than our head? He said to them, yes. So that's impossible, we won't join your religion. Even if your religion makes sense, there is no way our head goes down that far to anyone. This Al-Walid wants to take the splinter out. He knows this splinter, if it's poisonous in the body, it will surround the body and infect him. He wants to take it out, but there's too many people looking, so he says, I'll wait till I get home. When he enters the household, what happens? As soon as he enters the household, he's just about to take the splinter out, his maid comes in. She says, can I give you something? He said, no, you don't need to give me anything, just get out of the room. She says, okay, I will just clean this section. He said, very well, clean it quickly. He falls asleep. That next day, he doesn't wake up. The infection surrounds his body to a level that splinter had some poisonous effect on him, and he died. This Walid was the first one who the verse was talking about, that he used to make fun of Rasulullah non-stop. The second one, Al-As ibn Wa'il, the father of Amr ibn al-As. Notice all of these later on become supposedly great companions of the Prophet. Al-As ibn Wa'il, what do the narration state about him? Al-As ibn Wa'il is the one who the Quran revealed the verse about. Inna shani'aka huwal abtar. Inna shani'aka huwal abtar means what? It means your line is the one that is cut off. Al-As used to make fun of Rasulullah when his sons die. Al-As would come and say, Muhammad, you've got no sons to look after your message. It looks like you're going to die without any sons looking after your message. Your line is abtar, means your line is cut. There is no continuation. Every day Rasulullah would walk in the street. This man would come and say, abtar, abtar, your line is cut, your line is cut. Until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the verses, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar, fasalli li rabbika wanhar, inna shanaka huwa al-abtar. it's your line that is cut, which raises a question mark about Amr ibn al-As's lineage. Anyway, so what you find here is that you find on this account, he was the second one who'd make fun. The third one was a man by the name of Harith ibn Dalala, he'd make fun. The fourth one was a man by the name of Al-Aswad, and the fifth was this man, the head of Miqdad's tribe. Al-Aswad ibn Abd Yaghuth al-Zuhri would always make fun of Rasulullah. Miqdad, when he was with Al-Aswad, his adopted father, would always notice Rasulullah would never come back with bad akhlaq towards those who make fun of him. Notice that the Holy Prophet could easily reply back with rudeness, with arrogance, with a foul tongue. When the mustahzi'een would make fun of Rasulullah, what would happen? Rasulullah would try and reply back to them with akhlaq. For he's the one who the Quran said, the hadith said, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I have been sent to perfect the morals of mankind. Miqdad was very much affected by this. Why? Because he'd noticed that his adopted father would make fun of Rasulullah, whereas Rasulullah would only reply back with good manners. Miqdad therefore wanted to join the religion of Islam. And that's why some narrations mention Miqdad was the 7th convert to the religion of Islam. But someone then asked the question, if he's the 7th convert, how comes he only came and helped Rasulullah in Medina? Because the Holy Prophet said to him, Miqdad, keep your Islam silent. Meaning what? Meaning perform taqiyya. Do not let your Islam be known. Dissimulate your faith. Don't allow anyone to know that you are a Muslim. With your silence, there will be a day when you will be able to join the religion of Islam. Imagine this Miqdad used to see Ammar being tortured. He couldn't say anything. He used to see Ja'far ibn Abu Talib leave to Africa. He couldn't say anything. He kept on waiting for that day when he would join the message of Rasulullah, allow himself to be alongside Rasulullah. That day, when did it come? It came when Abu Sufyan began his attacks on Medina. Why? Because we know very well, when Rasulullah moved to Medina, Abu Sufyan was angered. Abu Sufyan felt, we tried to kill this man, we tried to kill his message. Even there was a night when we tried to kill him and his cousin is sleeping on his bed. We will find a way in which we'll destroy his message. So what did Abu Sufyan do? Abu Sufyan would always go on the outskirts of Medina. He'd take 200 people with him on the outskirts. The first time he went on the outskirts of Medina, because remember Abu Sufyan's in Mecca, Rasulullah's in Medina. The first time he went on the outskirts of Medina, he said, who wants to join me to go and fight Muhammad's lot in Medina? Miqdad knew this could be an opportunity, that I'll go with him, but as I reach Medina, when he's not looking, or when the skirmishes begin, I'll leave and I'll join Rasulullah. Miqdad went. With him was a man by the name of Utbah ibn Ghazwan. They reached the outskirts of Medina. When the skirmish took place, Abu Sufyan had 200 soldiers, and Rasulullah's army, which Rasulullah wasn't in, it was just a skirmish, a small war, was 60. By the time Abu Sufyan returned with his soldiers, he had 198. He looked around, he said, where's the two? We had 200 at the beginning, why is there 198? They said that we heard them running towards the side of Muhammad, calling out, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Who were they? They were Al-Miqdad and Utbah ibn Ghazwan. When Al-Miqdad reached Rasulullah, he embraced him the best of embracing. Why? Because imagine all those years, Miqdad could not admit he's a Muslim, could not come out openly. He had to remain patient. Miqdad, as soon as he came to Medina, he joined Rasulullah. When he joined Rasulullah, the narrations tell us that he, Miqdad, used to say, those early days in Medina were the best days. Why? We, the Muhajirun, there was 10 of us in the house of one Ansari. The Muhajirun, what does it mean? It means the Meccan Muslims who left their houses to do hijrah to Medina. The Ansar are the Medinian Muslims who helped the Meccan new Muslims. Miqdad said 10 Muhajirun in the house of one Ansari. He said, but with me, Rasulullah said, I want Miqdad to stay with me in my house. Imagine that level. All of the other Sahaba, you would find the narrations would say for all the other Sahaba that all of them would stay, 10 of them in one house. Miqdad, I love him so much, I want him to stay in my house. He does not stay in anyone else's house. Even Miqdad himself narrates that one night when I was in the house of Rasulullah, there was some milk in the house. I thought to myself that before Rasulullah drinks the milk, I'll go and drink that milk for myself. Just I'm going to have a little bit. I'm sure there will be more milk coming for Rasulullah. He said, but then I felt that shaitan had tempted me when I drank. He said, I went to Rasulullah, I said, Ya Rasulullah, forgive me, for I drank a little bit of milk before even you did, before even asking you. Rasulullah prayed the dua, Ya Allah, quench the thirst of Al-Miqdad for the rest of his life. Imagine. That was the closeness that was there between Rasulullah and Miqdad, because Rasulullah had seen that this young man, Miqdad, came from a rich family. He could have easily not come to Islam, but wealth wasn't an issue for him. He rather remained patient until he came to Rasulullah. And that's why when Abu Sufyan caused the rumor for the battle of Badr, Miqdad was the center of the army of Rasulullah. Why? Because you know the battle of Badr, do you know how it began? It began because of a rumor. Abu Sufyan sent a rumor back to Mecca. He sent a rumor saying that my caravan has been struck and all of the Arabs' wealth that has come from abroad has now been seized by Muhammad and his army. Nothing like this happened. As in Rasulullah hadn't even touched Abu Sufyan. But Abu Sufyan knew, if I get the Arabs onto the mentality that they've lost money, then there's no Arab who enjoys losing money. Abu Jahl will go crazy. Abu Lahab will go crazy. Umayyah bin Khalaf will go crazy. Utbah ibn Rabi'a will go crazy. Walid ibn al-Mughira will go crazy. If they find out that their caravan has been plundered, pillaged, of course they'll all be angry. So what did he say? He came forward and he said, send this rumor. So he sent his horse rider to Mecca. When Abu Jahl heard this, he said, we're going to take the biggest army to fight Muhammad. We're going to take 950 soldiers. We're going to take the best of horses and the best of camels, and we'll destroy Muhammad's army. Imagine the confidence that he had. But sometimes people forget the type of soldiers Rasulullah had with him. Because when you have this much arrogance, the surprise is Abu Jahl has this arrogance, but not Abu Lahab. You know what Abu Lahab did? Abu Lahab wasn't at Badr. Abu Lahab hired someone to fight for him at Badr. Imagine. Because Abu Lahab has two nephews in that army who he knows if they are in the opposition, there's no way you're going to win. Abu Lahab, who's his nephews in the army? Rasulullah and Amir al-Mu'mineen. If you look at them, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Abu Lahab knows the son of Abdullah and the son of Abu Talib better than anyone. They are his brother's sons. So he knows very well that I'll hire someone. He hired someone. He said to him, I'll give you some money if you come back alive. Otherwise, go out and serve me over there. Abu Lahab went out. He stayed at Mecca, whereas Abu Jahl went out for Badr. When Rasulullah knew that Abu Sufyan has told them, and Abu Jahl is coming out with an army of 950, the narrations, what do they tell us? The narrations tell us Rasulullah came to the Ansar. And he came to the Muhajirin. He said to the Ansar, "Oh Ansar, are you ready to help me?" He said to the head of the Ansar, whose name was Sa'ad, "Are you ready to help me?" He said, "Ya Rasulullah, if you asked us to plunge our horses into the seas in order that we have to defend you, then our horses are ready for you, Ya Rasulullah." The Ansar, 233 of them said, "We'll help you." The Muhajirun, who were headed by Rasulullah, he asked them, he said, "Are you all ready to help me?" The first Khalifa came forward and said, "Ya Rasulullah, you know their army is very strong, and we don't think we can beat them. As in, you need a great strength to be able to destroy them." The second Khalifa said, "Ya Rasulullah, it's better we don't fight, because these men have got 950, we have 313. How will we defeat them?" That's when Al-Miqdad moved the both of them. He said, "Ya Rasulullah, we will not tell you what the children of Israel told Moses, 'Go you and your Lord and we'll stay behind.' Ya Rasulullah, if you ordered us to travel with you to the outer regions of Yemen, we will be on your left and on your right and in the front and behind. Ya Rasulullah, our lives are ready to be sacrificed for you." That stand of Al-Miqdad put the energy levels in the soldiers to the highest levels. Because Miqdad became like a leader in that battle, within that leadership. When he said to them, "We won't tell Rasulullah what the children of Israel said to Moses," The children of Israel said to Moses, Moses, go you and your Lord, we'll stay here. We'll stay in the safer area. No, Ya Rasulullah, I am Miqdad, and I will make sure all of us come and join you. Where you go, we are with you. And that day truly belonged to Miqdad and to Amir al-Mu'mineen. Because Amir al-Mu'mineen on that day, from the 70 who were killed, 35 were from the sword of Ali ibn Abi Talib. That day you find that one narration states, Ali ibn Abi Talib on that day, when he came out on the battlefield, he said, كَأَنِّي جِنِّي لِمِثْلَ هَذَا أَوْلَدَتْنِي أُمِّي. I am like a demon possessed. It's for a day like this that my mother gave birth to me. Leave me alone. And when Amir al-Mu'mineen says, leave me alone, that means that no one's going to come near me in the opposition. It's me against them. And that's why the first person Amir al-Mu'mineen killed was whom? Utbah ibn Rabi'ah. Do you know who Utbah ibn Rabi'ah is? He is Muawiyah's grandfather from his mother's side. That's why at Saffin, Imam Ali looks at Muawiyah and says, why don't you come and fight me one-to-one? So I'll do to you what I did to your grandfather on the day of Badr. That line, I'll do to you what I did to your grandfather. You remember your grandfather, your mother Hind, her father Utbah? At Badr, I finished him off with one strike. Come out again and I'll let it continue in sons and generations, one after another. That battle of Badr, Miqdad was the center of the energy of that movement. But was it only Badr? It wasn't only Badr. At Uhud, if it wasn't for Miqdad and Imam Ali and a lady, Rasulullah would have been alone on the mountain of Uhud. You think you'd leave Rasulullah alone in a battlefield? Rasulullah on the day of the battle of Uhud, the narrations, what do they state? Rasulullah told the soldiers, oh my dear soldiers, beware. Don't leave me alone on the mountain, because Khalid ibn al-Walid will come round the side of the mountain. And if he comes round the side, he's going to attack me. These soldiers saw that the Muslims had virtually destroyed the opposition, and they saw that their fellow Muslims were picking up the spoils of war. The shields, the swords, you know, the booty and the spoils which remain in the war. So what did they do? They thought, let's leave Rasulullah alone. We've definitely won. They left Rasulullah alone. They ran towards the battlefield. Rasulullah was stranded alone with the opposition running after him. He was fighting them. On his one side, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. On his other side, Al-Miqdad. Imagine these three fighting to save this religion. And you know why Miqdad became close to Amir al-Mu'mineen? Because Miqdad was looking at Imam Ali and he's saying, this 25-year-old is saving this religion. Imam Ali in the Battle of Badr, how old was he? 24. And in the Battle of Uhud, how old was he? 25. Ask yourselves, by the age of 24 and 25, how many things did you do for the religion of Islam? What did you give to the religion of Islam? Wallah, there are people in their 40s still haven't given anything for the religion. There are people who are now in their 40s or in their 50s. You tell them slowly, just come closer to the religion. They say, in my own time, I'm not ready. MashaAllah, as if the world is waiting for them to become ready. When I'm ready, I will become religious. When I'm ready, for example, I will start reading Quran. When I'm ready, I will pray. When I'm ready, I will wear the hijab. The son of Abu Talib is 25 years old. He's giving his life for the religion of Islam. 25 years old in Uhud and in Badr, and Miqdad is watching this young man, because Miqdad is what, 14 years older than Imam Ali. He's watching him getting arrow after arrow and wound after wound. Do you know Fatima Zahra after the Battle of Uhud? Do you know how many wounds she treated of Imam Ali? 63 wounds. 63 wounds she treated on the body of Ali ibn Abi Talib after the Battle of Uhud. Yet you found Miqdad knew that this young man would one day become something. He remained loyal to him. And that's why this Miqdad, it wasn't just about his bravery on the battlefield. Sometimes off the battlefield. Rasulullah once sent him on an expedition. People ask, did Rasulullah lead every battle in Islam? No. Sometimes Rasulullah sent soldiers to lead. They were known as expeditions, not wars. He sends them to lead. Once he sent Al-Miqdad to lead an expedition against Abu Sufyan's soldiers in an area called Nukhayla. When Al-Miqdad led this, he captured 3 of the opposition. One of the men he captured was called Hakim ibn Kaysan. When he caught him, Umar ibn al-Khattab, when he caught that person, he said, let's behead him. Miqdad said, no, no. Umar said, he's in opposition and he's with Abu Sufyan, let's kill him. Miqdad said, wait, Hakim ibn Kaysan is a nobleman of Mecca who's not a bad human being. I remember him as a man with good virtues, but maybe he hasn't heard the right image of Rasulullah. Maybe they've given him the wrong words about Rasulullah. This is a message for all of us, that don't look at a non-Muslim and think they're bad. Sometimes they've been told myths about our Prophet. It's your role to correct the myth. And if you don't have the knowledge to correct the myth, then at your age, time is running out and you best get that knowledge very quickly. So what happens is, the narration states that when he caught Hakim, he said, Hakim, do you know really about Rasulullah or have you heard rumors? Hakim said, well, I've heard this, I've heard this, I've heard this. He said, these are all rumors, these aren't true. Let me tell you about my Prophet. He could have easily killed him, he's an enemy. He said, let me tell you about my Prophet. When he began to tell him, this Hakim became one of the greatest Muslims after this event. Because he said, Miqdad, I didn't know about Rasulullah in this way. I thought Muhammad was X, Muhammad was Y, Muhammad was Z, and so on. He said, the way you've described him isn't the way we were told about him. He brought him towards the religion of Islam. And truly you find that this Miqdad, what did we say about his father at the beginning? We said his father was like a ghetto, you know, gangster. His father had killed someone and he had left. In the final years of the life of Rasulullah, there was a year called Amil Wufud, the year of the delegations. All the delegations of non-Muslims come and meet Rasulullah to learn about Islam. Miqdad, one day he's sitting down, who does he see enter? His father. He says to him, Dad, what are you doing here? He said to him, I heard Muhammad takes part in wars. And you know, I enjoy war. I said to him, Dad, you know, Muhammad, Rasulullah, when he takes part in a war, it's not because he's trying to attack people, it's in defense, self-defense. And he began to tell his dad about the religion of Islam, and he slowly brought his dad towards the religion of Islam. Before you knew it, Miqdad became a Muslim, his dad had become a Muslim, and the narration states to us, not only did he remain loyal to Rasulullah, but he remained loyal to Amir al-Mu'mineen as well. You see, this is where the fine line is when we discuss companions. There are many companions who were good with Rasulullah. But after Rasulullah died, some of their behavior left a lot to be desired. Al-Miqdad, with Rasulullah he was loyal, after Rasulullah he was loyal to Ahlul Bayt as well. Why? Because this Al-Miqdad had already seen in the house of Fatima and the house of Ali, he had already known about wonders in that house. As in many of you would have heard the story, that one day Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen asks Fatima al-Zahra, when he's in the house with her, he says to her, Fatima, is there something for us to eat? She doesn't answer him. He looks at her and he notices she is pale. And when he notices she is pale, he says to her, oh Fatima, what is the issue? Why is your face pale? She said, oh Amir al-Mu'mineen, there is no food at all for us in this house. He said, so why didn't you tell me? She said, because my father Rasulullah said, don't trouble Ali ibn Abi Talib. And I just didn't have it in myself to trouble you, O Amir al-Mu'mineen. He said to her, no Fatima, do not worry, I'll go out, I'll get some money and I'll buy something. He went and borrowed a dinar to go and buy something quickly. On his way, he bumped into Miqdad. Salamu alaykum Miqdad. Wa alaykum salam, and Miqdad walked off. He said, it's unusual. Miqdad, normally when I speak to him, he continues the conversation. Today he walked away. I said, Miqdad, come back here, what's wrong? He said, oh son of Abu Talib, I have an issue in the family. He said, what's the issue? He said, Wallah, my children have been deprived of food to a level where their eyes are within their sockets now. He said, oh son of Abu Talib, and I was ashamed to ask you. Imam said, hey Miqdad, take this dinar. That dinar was meant to be for his house. He said, take this dinar and go and feed your children. The Imam went to the mosque to pray Salat al-Maghrib behind his father-in-law. His father-in-law, when he finished the Salat, turned around and said, get me Ali ibn Abi Talib. So he bought Amir al-Mu'mineen. He said, Ali, I want to eat dinner at your house with Fatima today. What do you do? What do you do? Imam said, you're more than welcome, Rasulullah. Come with me. They went home, they entered the house. You know that look you give your wife if someone has come to the house and you have to tell her, get the food ready? He looks at Fatima and he says, Fatima, we have a guest. She says, who? He says, your father has come. Fatima al-Zahra looks at him, he looks at her. She says, do not worry. She goes in the kitchen. And she recites verse 111 of Surah 5 of the Quran. اللهم ربنا أنزل علينا مائدة من السماء تكون لنا عيدا لأولنا وآخرنا وآية منك وارزقنا وأنت خير الرازقين. When Jesus, son of Mary's disciples, said to him that, can your Lord give us food from heaven? He read this dua. She said, oh Allah, if Jesus, son of Mary, you are willing to bring him food from heaven, I am Fatima, daughter of Rasulullah. Would you not provide us with food in order that we are able to feed our father? The narration states Jibreel came down with food towards Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. And when he came down, she was able to feed. Al-Miqdad had witnessed this. And you know why all of these events were important? Because at Saqifa, when they took the leadership of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib away from him, Miqdad was one of the 5 who remained loyal. Do you know why? When Saqifa happened, 6 Muhajirun, 6 Ansar came to Imam Ali, said, we are with you. Even though they've taken your leadership, we remain loyal to you. Imam said, very good. The next day, a few hundred came and joined Amir al-Mu'mineen and said, we are loyal to you. Imam said, very good. On the 3rd day, Imam said, you know, all of you who've come to me and said you're loyal to me, tomorrow I want the loyal ones to have all shaved their heads. Then I'll know whether I have enough loyal companions to get my right back. The day before, a few hundred had said we are loyal. Do you know how many turned up to Ali and Fatima's house with their heads shaven? 5. Abu Dhar, Salman, Ammar, Miqdad, and some narrations say Zubair, some say Hudayfa al-Yaman. They had shaved their heads. They had come to the house and they had said, O son-in-law of Rasulullah, we are loyal with you. If you want, we will sacrifice our lives now. And that's where Imam Ali mentioned the famous line, if I had 40 soldiers to fight, I would have taken my leadership back. But all I could have was 5 and no more than 5. 5 remained loyal. Miqdad was one of them. Miqdad was also one of those who carried the janazah of Bibi Fatima. Bibi Fatima, when she was to be buried, Miqdad, the narration states, she said, I only want Miqdad there, Ammar, Salman, Abu Dhar. One narration mentions Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari, Hudayfa al-Yaman, I want them there. And from the woman, I want Bibi Fadda there, and I want Ayman there, and I want Asma bint Umays. These are the women I want and no more. Any other woman comes and says, I want to be at the janazah, you don't allow her. And any other man says, I want to be at Fatima's janazah, don't allow them. That's why Al-Miqdad was one of those who carried the jasad, the body of the daughter of Rasulullah. Not only this, when Amir al-Mu'mineen buried Fatima al-Zahra with Al-Miqdad, with Abu Dhar, with Salman, with Ammar, the next day, one of the people, we don't need to mention names from the minbar, one of the people came to him and said, how dare you bury Fatima without us being there? Do you know what I will do? Imam Ali said to him, what will you do? He said, I'll dig up every grave in Medina, take her body out and then bury her again. You know what Imam Ali said to him? He said, if this much dust is removed from the grave, then there will be bloodshed in Medina from my sword. On the issue of Saqifa, Rasulullah told me remain patient. On the issue of the door, he told me remain patient. But now it's in my hands. If you dare move this much dust from any of the graves, I'll cause bloodshed in this whole area. And they used to say Imam Ali rarely went into that particular mode. But when that man said this to him, and Miqdad remained loyal alongside him, Miqdad told the Imam that there is no way whatsoever in which we'll leave you. And even after this, when the Shura happened, when Umar ibn al-Khattab died, before he died, he said 6 people will choose who the Khalifa is after me. He said Ali, Uthman, Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, Talha and Zubair. These 6 will choose who the leader is. You know, when Miqdad found out, he came out in front of everyone. He said, listen to me. If Ali ibn Abi Talib is chosen tomorrow, I'll obey. If anyone else is chosen, I'll disobey his orders and no one will come near me. It will be up to me, and I am the one who makes the decisions as to who will be obeyed and who will not. And then Miqdad went to one of the people in the six. He said, Ali ibn Abi Talib, there was a day when he was of the one. Now he is seen as being of the six. The narrations, what do they state? The narrations state that Miqdad spoke out. And he spoke out against Abdurrahman ibn Abi Salt. When Abdurrahman ibn Abi Salt come forward and said this. So you found Al-Miqdad, when it came to Saqifa, remained loyal to the Imam. When it came to the Shura, he remained loyal to the Imam. Even you found that Miqdad would speak out for the rights of Amir al-Mu'mineen constantly throughout his life. And on one occasion he'd say, this young man at the age of 24, in the battle of Badr, gave his life away to the religion of Islam. At the battle of Uhud, at the battle of Khandaq, at the battle of Khaybar, at every battle in this religion, this young man gave his life away. And you reach a level where you don't choose him to become your Khalifa, where you neglect him in his affairs, where you neglect him in all of your politics. Nobody spoke out for Amir al-Mu'mineen like Miqdad. Miqdad spoke out viciously for Ali ibn Abi Talib. And that's why you find, you know what the irony of ironies is? Miqdad had a son by the name of Abdullah and a daughter by the name of Karima. The narrations, what do they state? They state that his son, Miqdad's son, when Miqdad died, Miqdad's son ended up fighting Imam Ali in the Battle of Jamal. The irony of this world. Miqdad's son fights Ali ibn Abi Talib. And imagine when the Imam looks at him and wonders, your father, how loyal he was to our cause. He was one of those who used to memorize the Quran. He used to teach the Quran. And now you come and you fight us. And that's the sadness of this world. Sometimes you have a great father and the son comes out like this. Sometimes you have a bad father and the son comes out very good. You found that Miqdad, Rasulullah used to say, when I said the verse, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. I don't ask from you nothing except love for my family. He said there were 6 people who unconditionally looked after this command. One of them is Al-Miqdad. That Al-Miqdad unconditionally showed love for Al-Muhammad in every action in his life. And that's why his greatest action without a doubt was in the Battle of Badr. That loyalty he showed Rasulullah. Because it's as if the Muslims remembered Badr. The Muslims pride themselves on Badr. That day many would pride themselves. You know, Umar bin Abdul Aziz stopped the cursing on Ali ibn Abi Talib because of the Battle of Badr. Umar bin Abdul Aziz is a Khalifa of Bani Umayyah. He gave Fadak back to who? He gave Fadak back to Imam al-Baqir. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, the narration states, when he was young, he used to curse Imam Ali. As a 6-year-old, when he'd swear, he'd curse Imam Ali. One day his teacher looked at him and he frowned at him. Umar, the 6-year-old, looked at the teacher and said, how dare you frown at me? The teacher said, my son, haven't I taught you about the Battle of Badr? He said, yes. He said, what did we say about those who fought in the battle? He said, they are great men. He said, what if I tell you about a man who killed 35 out of the 70 on that day? He said, he's a great man. He said, Ali ibn Abi Talib, on the day of Badr, the man you curse, he killed half of the opposition. The Muslims would pride themselves on Badr, yet by the time they had reached a level in the court of Yazid in Sham, many of them had forgotten what had happened at Badr. Yazid himself made fun of Badr. ليت أشياخي ببدر شهدوا جزع الخزرج من وقع الأسد لا أهلوا واستهلوا فرحا ثم قالوا يا يزيد لا تشل لعبت هاشم بالملك فلا خبر جاء ولا وحي نزل. You found Yazid said, I wish my ancestors at Badr were present today so that they could see what I have done to the religion of Muhammad and Miqdad and Ali. And they could see the way I treat the children of Ali. What Ali done to my grandparents at Badr. I wish he was here to see what I am doing to his children and to his grandchildren. And that's why Imam Zayn al-Abidin, when he stood in the court of Yazid in Sham, the narration state that Imam Zayn al-Abidin, the first thing that he did in his khutbah was that he reminded the people about the day of Badr and about those who were successful at Badr. Because in front of the people he called out, I am the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib. I am the son of the man who fought with 2 swords and with 2 spears, and who pledged 2 allegiances and went on 2 migrations. I am the son of the believers, pious one, the descendant of the prophets and the annihilator of the polytheists and the commander of the faithful and the glory of the worshippers. I am the son of a Mekki and a Madani. I am the son of a Badri and a Uhudi. I am the son of a Khayfi and a Aqabi. I am the son of a Muhajir. I am the son of Khadijat al-Kubra. I am the son of Fatima al-Zahra. I am the son of the man for whom the angels continue to cry. I am the son of the man who the wildebeest surround his body on the plain of Karbala. When he heard Yazid called out to recite the adhan. When the adhan reached Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Imam Zayn al-Abidin looked towards Yazid and he said to him, "Oh Yazid, is Rasulullah your grandfather or is he mine?" At that moment he said to him, "If you say he is your grandfather, then you are lying. But if you say that he is mine, then why did you kill his son on the plains of Karbala on the 10th of Muharram? Why did you allow your horses to trample on his body? Why did you place his head on a spear?" That's why Imam Zayn al-Abidin, whenever he would come and walk past a butcher, he would look at this butcher and he would see the butcher is about to sacrifice a sheep. He would come and he would see that the butcher is about to sacrifice the sheep. He would say to the butcher, "Do you give water to the sheep before you sacrifice it?" And the butcher would say, "Of course, O son of Rasulullah, any creation of Allah, before it dies, it deserves to have water." He said that you been at Karbala, you would have seen my father Muhammadullah slaughtered without water being given to him. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the following dua. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya Allah, allow us to be amongst the companions of Imam Sahaba al-Asr. Raise us with the Imam of our time. Allow us to receive his intercession. Raise your hands, brothers and sisters. We pray